to another episode of Along the Rock, brought to you by the Radar Free Press. I'm your host, Emma Watts, and with me today is Danny Langloss, Scott Shumard, and Robbin Blackert. Welcome in, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. So you guys are all the city administrators, city managers from Dixon, Sterling, and Rock Falls. So one thing we always talk about on our show is collaboration, that it takes a community to bring people together. We have a lot of nonprofits and local business owners come on and talk about that concept. Do you think that applies to your respective cities, Dixon, Rock Falls, and Sterling? Whether it's a new business, event, or development, do you think it helps kind of create momentum or opportunities for the neighboring cities?
I'll go with yes and no. I mean, both we're being community, you're the city of Sterling, you're the city of Dixon, you're the city of Rock Falls, and you come together as community, and communities built around that. And the size of communities we are, a lot of it's school-centered, right? So you're very dedicated to your local community because you grew up in the schools and the people you know. So there's that. And so when it comes to building, you need all those people from your own community to do your own local events. I mean, the Petunia Fest is probably the best example in the whole Sauk Valley area of people coming together to put on something huge, and that's great, and it serves everybody here because I know people from Rock Falls, people from Sterling are all heading over to the Petunia Fest, so it's great for that. But it's kind of hard to pull people together, I think, on all different directions because Rock Falls has its identity, Dixon has its identity, Sterling has its identity, and the people of Rock Falls are very proud of their identity. People of Dixon are very proud of theirs, and the people of Sterling are very proud of their identity, and they're not, in the grand scheme, I think, really different. You know, the Sauk Valley is more or less very similar when you get outside the area, but you know, internally we notice, and not just we ourselves, we collectively and the individual citizens of our communities notice the small differences. And I think the unfortunate part is sometimes we think they're bigger than they are, you know. But you know, if you compare us to some community in New Mexico or Washington or whatever else, we're probably a lot more different there than we are from each other. So it's an awkward thing where you want to be collaborative, but yet community spirit dominates a lot of it. And I think it's not a bad thing to have your own community spirit, but when we can work together, it's helpful. You know, sometimes we've put together programs that we look at them, and you know, we all kind of steal from each other at different times, and that's where it comes in handy, is being able to sit down like this and talk with each other and have those open lines of communication.
I think between communities, it's about cooperation. So you need help, you have a question. I know I've come and sat and talked with Scott about, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? Rob and I will communicate. But within the community, collaboration. Because when you cooperate, when you need something, sure, I'll help you. But when you collaborate, you're building something together. And I think that's really important when we look at our school district and our park district and our not-for-profits and our Chamber Tourism, Discover Dixon, the county government, Sauk Community College. And so when we understand what our goals are and what the vision is and what we want to bring to life, we've got to all be on the same page, rowing in the same direction. And I think what happens in a lot of communities is that those different important institutions they will cooperate at best. And I think it's transformational when the true collaboration happens. And I think you're seeing that across these three communities.
I mean, as a young person who recently graduated college and came back to the community, that is definitely something that I have seen more now than I have seen in the past growing up, is collaboration between all three cities. The first thing that comes to mind is it's the Sauk Valley. It's not Dixon Community College or Rock Falls Community College, it's the Sauk Valley Community College. And you have people from all over coming to that institution and studying. And you have all of these community events and organizations that come together from all three cities. And that's something that I really, really enjoy about the area, is we're essentially three cities that kind of come together as one in a lot of ways that people may not expect necessarily. It's not necessarily out there for people to see, but it is there. That collaboration is there. And that's something that I really enjoy seeing.
Well, it sounds like the experience of living in the Sauk Valley maybe makes it feel more collaborative than maybe the day-to-day is. I mean, it's certainly cooperative, but I think that's the great thing about the Sauk Valley is that, you know, people from Dixon are wondering, like, how do we get, how's Sterling and Rock Falls getting that? And people from Rock Falls, how's Dixon getting that? But it's cool because within 10 minutes, you have this bigger population, you have more stores, more restaurants to choose from. You can mix it up, so it's not like being a standalone smaller rural community, and now I got to drive 30, 40 minutes to get somewhere. And so I think, with us all succeeding and good things happening, it's like you get the best of all those communities, regardless of which community you live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know that one thing that I'm sure we're all familiar with is the idea of, you kind of touched on a little bit, Danny, is, well, Sterling has this and we don't have this. Rock Falls has this and we don't have this. How would you kind of communicate to those people that a success in the city across the river or down the road is actually still a good thing for their own hometown? And it's a question for all of you.
Well, first of all, there's different kind of development. So let's say it's an employer, a rather large employer. That's good for the whole region. As far as, I think what we see more are like retail establishments, I think is what we hear more about. Well, if they build an Applebee's in this town, they're not going to build an Applebee's, 10 minutes from that one. I don't know. I don't think people will ever understand that, you're not going to have the same things in every town. You're just not. We're both on the interstate. You're not.
Right. Very jealous.
And you can tell ours because we have fast food road.
Right.
Coming down First Avenue, which was basically developed that way because of the interstate. People come off the interstate and go to the fast food places. Of course, Sterling has a lot of fast food places, but you just don't have the road that we have, coming down First Avenue. It's just different with you being an interstate city as well. There's just different developments that happen, I think.
Well, and I think, us being in competition with each other does no good. And we all have different strengths. I think the key is we identify what are those strengths and how do we leverage those strengths and how do we elevate our communities. Rock Falls has done a great job of that with the Holiday Inn Express and the riverfront development there and the build out into their downtown. We're doing that from the 88 corridor, and blowing that up. You look at leveraging Menards and Walmart and all the development that's happened in that quadrant, and then the value of their park district and the financial backing that they have and the things that they've done. And so I think I think we make a mistake if we point at they have this, they have that. What are our strengths? How do we build on those? And how do we turn those strengths into quality of life? Our riverfront is amazing. It's a strength. Our downtown is a strength. But all the events that we run, whether it be Petunia Festival or the Scarecrow Festival or the Christmas Walk, whatever it is, that's the quality of life. The city markets that communities are running. And so the fact, I think people, just the gratitude of, tonight Dixon's popping, tomorrow Rock Falls is, the next day Sterling is, man, how lucky are we to have that all right here is really the winning mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think when it comes to locations, sometimes it's stuff beyond our control, right? So a retailer is going to come in and it's going to be, is that property available or not? Is it the right price or not? Is the private landowner who owns the property who thinks it's worth 10 times more than it is, willing to let go? And we don't necessarily have control over that. So sometimes it comes down to the retailer finds the right spot, and it doesn't matter if it's Sterling, Dixon, or Rock Falls because we're in the same market, generally speaking. It's just, sometimes it's dumb luck. Sometimes it is just access to the interstate, things that we just don't have. Yeah, and it's all these little things that we know, sometimes beyond our control. It's not just, did the city of Rock Falls do something special? Did the city of Dixon do something special? It's just, do you have the right land developer that maybe you necessarily don't have control of? You guys had struggled for years to try and get the land. Had a little bit better luck, I think, getting first rights refusal to get access.
The landowners wouldn't even talk to us for a while. But it's also about being creative, Scott. Yeah. You guys did that with the Kmart complex. You created a TIF, a business development district. It's a single source. It creates no additional infrastructure. And because of that, look, you got Marshalls and Old Navy, Five Below. You got a few other things over in that area. And that's a great draw. And then Dixon can say, okay, you know what likes to be within 10, 15 minutes of Marshalls? TJ Maxx, right? And so now we're in the process of recruiting that. And you want that and then people go between communities for different things, right? And then you get the experience area, and then, hey, I want to come back. And then it adds the quality of life for our residents. And that outside traffic coming in is really important because it gives the numbers we need to get these things. So it's good quality of life. It brings people in. And then a lot of the revenue to run our governments and sales tax then comes from outside the community, which is always great when somebody else is paying for what you need.
Right, and I hate to dwell on retail, but it's what people I think see when they think development. They see retail, right, and the big commercial ones and the national chains, and not any one of us isn't big enough to sustain a lot of these on our own, right? It's the population of all of us that comes together and puts that in place, and that's again that goes back to that quality of life. I think when you talk about you can go to the suburbs and have those things, but once you get in traffic, to me, that's why I like about the Sauk Valley area is, I still got my 8-minute commute to work or whatever else. That's if I hit all the red lights downtown. But at the same time, you can get 10 minutes here, 10 minutes. I know it sounds 10 miles down the road to Dixon sounds like a lot to some people if you're just, because it seems like a far way because you drive through farm fields, but people drive, 30 minutes to get 10 miles in, the suburban area just to find some of the stuff we have here. And it's just, it's kind of a cool thing. And not necessarily collaboration as the theme is, but it works out that we've all got our different little niches and for the Sauk Valley.
The residents, I don't think until what we do, if it was their day job, maybe they'd understand. But I think they don't understand that we can't have all the amenities that you have in a large urban area. We just don't fit into that groove. Even if you put all of us together, we're still not going to get a lot of those things that we want. But I think we've all three done really well of getting what we can. Everything that's available to us.
Well, and there's some other things that you don't want in some of those areas, like high crime rates. Right. You look at a house here that now is $200,000 that was maybe $125,000 a few years ago just because of inflation. Well, that $200,000 house is $400,000 when you get into the suburbs. Easy. So you make money, and it goes a lot further here. And that's why you're seeing, you had the people want to be in the city, now it's the suburbs, and now it's the exurbs. And I think the one thing that we're all doing a good job of is preparing for that influx of people coming out. I know housing is a top priority for all of us, and we're at different stages of that. But people with remote and hybrid work and going to the office every now and then and willing to drive an hour, I mean, if you're making $150,000 in the suburbs, if you live out here, it's going a lot further, even if you're spending money on gas. Mm-hmm. And so there's a give and a take that comes with that.
Mm-hmm. That's why the high-speed fiber was
huge.
The fiber was huge. And that's one of the things that we did look at is being on the interstate and easy access into the suburbs in Chicago, trying to get residential development, because that's what we all really need, to try to get some of those people, because the hybrid work environments are so popular now. But that's the crucial thing, and now we all have it. Mm-hmm. Thank you to Rock Falls.
Amen. Let's go. Let's go.
But that's really important, and it is important for businesses too. We do have a lot of businesses that are shocked that we have fiber that we do. It's just like water and sewer anymore. It's a necessity infrastructure thing.
Yeah. And I know one thing you guys kind of brushed on is how rich the community of small business owners is within the Sauk Valley area, Rock Falls, Sterling, and Dixon. I know I went to school in the Quad Cities, and I have friends in the suburbs, and so I've been to both sides of Illinois, and it's really hard to find a small community such as Rock Falls, Sterling, Dixon that is so rich in small businesses. I think that's one thing our communities thrive on, and all three towns, is the amount of small businesses and the power that they have in creating opportunities and creating places for you to go grab a coffee and go hang out with friends and shop. I think that's a really, I do vendor shows all the time, so I meet and interact with them all the time. But I think that's one thing that I think really helps the Sauk Valley area shine too.
Yeah, sure. I think we've got a great support system around it too. I think all three of our chambers, I think are all, as good as you could ask for. Mm-hmm. And then all of us chip in for the Small Business Development Center, and I don't think that gets enough plugs. So I'll take advantage of this now. So all three cities contribute to the Small Business Development Center that's run out of the Sauk Valley Community College. So when people are looking to get that first step in, because we see the failures too, right? People come in and they've got a grand idea, but really don't know the homework that goes into it, all the intricacies, the regulations that they have to go through, and really get a business plan that's solid, put together. And by all of us contributing and some other partners as well. The service is free, and so I really want to push people to get out there and make that call to the Small Business Development Center. And their staff, they've got some people that have been out there for probably a decade now, as long as they've been running. And they
little
do
tweaks
full service.
in your plan
Yeah.
and what you're doing make a big difference.
Huge.
A lot of the financial institutions contribute to that too, because there's a lot of people with the grand ideas that come in and they want loans to start businesses, and they don't even have a business plan. So they send them out to the Small Business Development Center too. But I think all three of us would agree that a community is much more stable when it's based on small business. We've all seen the effects of when our large employers.
Yeah, and the small business dollars stay local.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
and it's a lot of stability. It actually provides the stability of the city, or the small businesses. So, yeah, we'd all like to have a GM plant come in, but yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know who's going to work there, but we'd all like to have that. But yeah, and it's the same with development. And it took me a while to wrap my mind around this when I started this job. But at the end of the day, most of your development dollars that are coming in and the projects that are being done, it's local money. Local within 50 miles, let's say. But it's local money. You get your Marshalls. I'm getting my Loves, things that aren't local money. But it's amazing how much local money are poured into these cities for
Perfect
businesses.
example, our Fairfield Inn that just opened. That's a pool of
That's
local
local money.
investors that has brought that in. And to your small business, I mean, that's the foundation of the community. And our support of our local businesses. And I know it's so easy to go on Amazon or, now the TikTok shop or whatever, but if you can shop local, those storefronts being full is big, and it's providing livelihood for so many people in our communities. But a lot of those small business owners are the volunteers who are getting involved, who are driving quality of life and events and just different enhancements, beautification. And so it's so much more than just a single business. And then, all of us would be in trouble if something like Walmart pulled up and left with the sales tax that comes in from that. But outside of that, when you're diversified in those streams, your longevity as a community is just a lot better and on top of quality of life.
Yeah.
It's huge.
You look at other small towns similar to Rock Falls, Sterling, Dixon, and it always breaks my heart when you walk down the main street and there's maybe 2 or 3 storefronts that are even open and the rest have for sale signs. But you don't really see that in Rock Falls, Sterling, Dixon. So as somebody who loves shopping small, I thank all 3 of you for bringing those opportunities to the area, because I love shopping small businesses. It's
kind
one of
of
my
funny.
favorite things.
We were just having this discussion yesterday with our Main Street program, and some of our empty buildings downtown it's not because they can't find somebody, it's because they're not trying and they don't care.
They just let them sit and rot.
It's amazing. So I don't know what the other community's done so far on vacancy ordinances, but that's something we're looking into this year, is because I struggle with this. We balance private property rights. Yeah, it's your building, but it's really a detriment to the downtown, because it's sitting there empty. And we were talking about like our Christmas walk, and you got a dark building surrounded by light, and it's just kind of off-putting, and it's not good. I can think of 3 properties off the top of my head that have sat empty, and purposely, because the owners don't want to do anything with it, or they have an idea.
We all have those buildings.
Someday down the road I'm going to do something with it, but in the meantime, it just sits and it sits, and it's kind of like that old car project that you put out back that I'm going to get to it someday. Next thing you know, you got a tree growing through it or whatever else.
I mean, I think we have to pay attention to the ownership, and is that ownership local? Isn't it, land control and local government development's king. That's why we bought that 65 acres behind Walmart there. It's the next real viable area to develop. And then I think, as best as we can, there's only so much we can do, but just really building strong relationships with the people who have a disproportionate amount of properties, in your downtown or your community. And I've seen some communities do that really well and create different programs and use TIF. And so I think it's something we've all got our eye on and are really conscious of. And I think all the communities, all 3 of our communities, have done a good job of it.
Well, the reason I really like the enterprise zone is because I think it benefits a lot of the small businesses more than, enterprise zone is what got me Loves. truck stop. But I mean, it really benefits the smaller businesses too in the downtown area where you may not have, you know, a TIF. I mean, yes, we have a TIF in our downtown and it expires in 6 years or something like that, but hopefully we'll renew it. But the enterprise zone has really, I've seen it help just as many small businesses as large ones. And, you know, the small businesses, you don't want to make it so complicated for them either that, you know, to do these redevelopment deals and the TIF deals and all that. It's,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
Andy Shaw and his team at the Enterprise Zone, they just do a phenomenal job. They make it so easy.
yeah, they're actually, Dixon's in a different one than Sterling and Rock Falls enterprise zones, but yeah, they're really just the best tool that I have in my toolbox anyway. So
Awesome. So obviously it's 2026. It's a new year. Looking ahead at this kind of upcoming year or in the years to come, is there one thing you'd love to see happen that would make residents really say, wow, the Sauk Valley we're really moving forward and we're doing this together as a community, not just as an individual town? It's a loaded question.
I think what you started, we just kind of glanced over earlier, and it's housing. And I don't know if there's some miracle worker out there that could find a large-scale developer to do assist us with housing. But at the same time, I just read an article, I don't know if it was the Washington Post or somewhere, but the median house, the cost and the size of it and how it's changed over the years, and we've lost the starter home. And that's where we're struggling, is you get that family you're 30 years old, family of 4, and trying to find a place that's affordable, that's in decent shape, is it's a struggle in all our communities, and because of the older housing stock. But the developers, the few that are out there, they don't want to build a $150,000, $200,000 home. That's not where the profit margin is. The profit margin is in the larger homes, and we've lost those. And our housing study we just had done showed that the number of actual developers across Illinois in the last 20 years has just shrunk. It was a fraction of what it was, and locally there just aren't those housing developers that used to exist. And we've some of the guys I can think of, I won't name on camera, but you know, we either passed away or retired out, and it's just we're not left with a lot of people. And we got a lot of reconstruction firms, but ground up builders we're lacking.
right, the ones that come in and say, I'm going to do the whole subdivision.
Yeah, we've lost those.
And we desperately need more. And you know, you get so close sometimes, and then you find out
right?
they want to build army barracks looking apartments or something that, you know.
Yeah.
They're not doing what we need, and what we need and what would sell is that median valued house there. I mean, that's what we need.
And I want to make sure people watching this know this isn't a Sauk Valley issue. This is an entire country issue. This is the number one topic on local government leaders.
But we should be able to solve it easier than the big cities. You know what I'm saying? And we just can't. They're not there anymore.
Right,
in Illinois, they're just not. The builders aren't there. How many homes have been rebuilt from the California fire?
But
The number is staggeringly low.
I don't want to think about the regulation involved there.
But they're the builders. I mean, when's the last time anybody came in and said, "Here's a subdivision"?
Yeah, and it's just the profit margin. One, you've lost the people, but 2, the profit margin it's been gone because the cost of actual building is just skyrocketed in the last few years.
I think an opportunity, for our 3 communities is to look at how could we become more marketable to a bigger residential or even apartment complex developers, and how can we establish land control and what incentives can we put in place. But the new is just one component of it, and the type of new is important. We're working on a 55 and older development. It'll be an 80-acre development if it ends up coming to life. And even though that's 55 and older, there's so many people in our community that are staying in homes because they don't have that option. Now they come into an option like this, and now that opens up some of those homes we're talking about. So
Dixon was so fortunate. Also, I mean, your duplexes on Bloody Gulch.
Yeah, Overlook Gardens.
There were a lot of Sterling and Rock Falls people that when they retired, they bought one of those. But we just couldn't find builders that were willing to do it. I even approached the same builder, that did yours. But that would be greatly beneficial in this for Rock Falls, at least. I'm sure Sterling would dig that too. But it's going to need, again, it's going to be local money that's finally going to do it. It always ends up being that local money, local investors, people that live here, people that love the area. And there are a lot of people that do develop that the community doesn't even realize where the money's coming from. But there's a lot of really good businessmen in this area that have put a lot of money into the three cities.
Yeah, there are. And I think the great thing and the most exciting thing about these roles and our elected officials, the teams we build, it's not at all just us, the not-for-profit. Like, we have the ability to shape and create the future of our communities. And we're going to have to be more innovative. And we're going to have to figure out some of these different avenues and mechanisms. And maybe there's an opportunity for more collaboration to market the whole region to where you get some of these bigger developers to come out this way with outside money. Who knows? But we're not alone. It's not unique. And we've got people that care and are trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Switching back to your question about like vision and exciting and the three communities combined, I think if we can find a way to get our pathways, and we're in process to connect. Right now I know Sterling is in the process with some help to get the pathway out to Sauk. Mm-hmm. We're in for some planning grants with the county, working with our park district to do that. We're just finishing the bridge and this expanded trail system that we're doing. You can get across your guys' pedestrian bridge into Rock Falls and that trail that goes down the Hennepin Canal. But that connectivity, walkability, outdoor, cycling, those types of things, the runners, people love that. It's one of the huge quality of life things people are looking for, are those pathways. And I think something that'd be pretty exciting is if we can get all three communities connected in that way. And it's probably one of the bigger opportunities we have for true collaboration.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. We always love having you guys on. Thank you all for coming on and hanging out with us together and kind of sharing about the philosophy of collaboration and the exciting futures in all Dixon, Sterling, and Rock Falls.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. We look forward to seeing what's to come in 2026 and the years forward as well.
And I think the communities, there's a lot of momentum in all three of the communities, and the best is definitely yet to come.
Yeah, I think you ended that perfectly. I don't even need to do my outro now. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
As always, we'd like to thank our production team for helping put these episodes on. Don't forget that the Radar Free Press is free, so be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And for more videos like this, check out theradar.online.